All right, good morning. So, what we got, we're going to stick with this theme of the elect. What are the characteristics of the elect? What do they know? What are they doing? Okay. If we take an inventory of ourselves, are we the elect? I know we account for ourselves all the blessings the elect get. And let me tell you, they don't come here in this kingdom, they come in the next kingdom. Okay? Check this out, folks. Check this out. So I'm going to be in Mark 13. That is, Mark 13 is the same is similar to Matthew 24, the wars and rumors of wars. Okay? Yeshua takes his people up, takes a few of his folks up to Mount of Olives. It's called Olivet Discourse. All right? Tell us what these things shall be. What shall be the sign of all these things, and when they shall be fulfilled? And Yeshua, answering them, began to say, take heed, unless any man deceive you. All right. Take heed, lest any man deceive you. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Just the beginnings of sorrows, folks. Take heed to deliver yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to the councils and to the churches and to the synagogues. Okay? Because what you're going to say, what the elect would be saying, is going to disturb people. People don't want to hear it. I'm going to go down here, chapter 13. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he shall endure to the end. The same shall be saved. So somebody says, what do you got to do to be saved? You got to endure to the end. Endure to the end. He goes on to tell you to read about Daniel, the prophet, where he talks about the abomination of desolation. So you would have read this and went to those sections of the Bible and learned that if you were the elect. For in those days the affliction is shut as such as was not from the beginning of creation, which God created unto this time, neither shall be. It's going to be a worse time than has ever been. Tribulation, worst time that's ever been. Worse than World War I, worse than all these famines, and the worst time has ever been. So anybody who's telling you, oh, this was all fulfilled in 70 AD, 70 AD wasn't even close. It wasn't even the worst time for Judah. Okay? Judah had it worse before that and then worse after. I'm just going to skip right here to 22. You got to read this whole thing, guys. Okay? For false Christs and false prophets shall arise, and shall signs and wonders and seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. If it were possible, they would seduce even the elect. How do people get seduced? They heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. That's Timothy. Okay? They listen to the wolves that come in sheep's clothing, telling you smooth things. Do not prophesize us the scary stuff. Tell us those smooth things. Okay? But the elect are not going to fall for that. They're going to read this book and go, whoa, what's going on? Okay, in those days after the tribulation, a bunch of these people are putting out these rapture videos and rapture this and that. They have no idea what's going on. Okay, they account themselves to be the elect, yet they're not doing nothing the Bible says. Okay, check this out. But in those days after tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And that'll be to the east. to the east. They'll see great clouds. And then he shall send his angels and gather together his elect. Then he gathers together his elect. Okay, what was that? He gathers together his elect, the people that know what I'm about ready to tell you. Okay, from the four winds. This is after the tribulation. Okay, after the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth and uttermost part of heaven. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know not that the summer is near. So we're talking about a spring and summer event here, folks. I'm just going to skip to verse 32. Verse 32. Read the whole thing, but I'm skipping to verse 32. Of that day, that shall knoweth no man. No man knows it. Not even the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son. So Yeshua don't know, but the Father. Nobody knows the exact time when this is going to happen. So you need to be ready. What's he say? Take ye heed and watch. Take ye heed and watch and pray, for ye not know when the time is. For the Son of Man is taking a far journey, who left his house and gaveth authority to his servants, and to every man his work. He gave every man his work. That's a work-based salvation. Anybody who's saying that, oh, that's a work-based salvation. Run. Authority to his servants, to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, and know when the master of the house cometh, even at even, or at midnight, or when the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest he coming suddenly and find you sleeping. The people who are proclaiming, that's a work-based salvation, they're sleeping. Sleeping. And what I say unto you all, I say unto all. I say unto all, watch. So his servants are going to be watching. What is watching? You're the elect. Tell me what watching is. Okay, that's found in Ezekiel 2, Ezekiel 3, and Ezekiel 33. I'm going to go to Ezekiel 3. All right, here we are, Ezekiel 3. I'm just going to go ahead and start in verse 7. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are imputed and hard-hearted. But he makes our foreheads strong so we can take it. Because what did it say? They're going to give you up to the synagogues. They're going to take you in front of they're going to kick you out of the church. They're going to call the cops on you. Okay, verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning, not for me. When I'm saying house of Israel right here, I am not talking about those folks causing all the ruckus. Okay, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the house of Israel, the 10 northern tribes that were dispersed among the Gentiles in 722 BC. Okay, they got dispersed unto the Gentiles. Okay, they were not gathered up in 1948. That had not happened. Okay, if you want to know when the two sticks joined back together, we would be beating our swords into plowshares. We would be, that's a whole nother video. I've got videos on that, okay? Okay, what I'm talking about is his elect, okay? So, when I'm talking about, these are people that think they're in the club, they think they're in the church, okay? But they're hard-hearted, impudent children. Hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Verse 18, what I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou give him not warning, nor speaketh to warn the wicked from his wicked ways to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at thy hand. If you do not warn that guy, if you do not warn him, you ain't watching. And his blood I will require at your hand. Matthew 15 and Mark 7 talk about why do you guys sit down and eat bread and not wash your hands? Okay? The Pharisees had a huge thing of washing hands and washing cups and washing hands. Clean hands was a big deal because clean hands is mentioned a lot in the Bible. How do you get clean hands? You love thy brother as thyself. What does that mean? Loving thy brother as thyself. It's the second great commandment from the law. Matthew 22. Where do you find it? You find it in Leviticus 19. You find it in Leviticus 19, verse 18. Verse 17 says, if you do not rebuke the sin from your brother, you let the sin suffer upon him. Okay, it suffers upon you too. Okay, if you do not rebuke, you hate your brother if you do not rebuke his sin, is what it says. That's loving your brother as yourself, is rebuking his sin, because you don't want him to go to the fire. Okay, verse 20. This is Ezekiel 3. Again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, this is God, lays a stumbling block before him, will all be tested. Lays a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because he has not given him warning. He shall die because thou hast not given him warning. He said he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which hath done shall not be remembered, but his blood I will require at thine hand. So, somebody who's righteous, who gets laid, what do? They're a good person. They're going to hear the message from those wolves, the stumbling block that gets laid before them, and say, oh, Jesus is my Sabbath. This is a good person that just wants to do what God says. Okay, they want to just live godly. Okay, they have the grace already on them, the grace of God. Teaches us to deny all ungodliness and live righteously. That's what the grace of God does. That's Titus 2, chapter 11 and 12. Titus 2, the chapter, verse 11 and 12. Okay? The grace of God isn't unmerited favor, folks. It is not unmerited favor. It teaches us to deny ungodliness. It teaches us to follow his commandments. Okay? His blood I will require at thine hand. That is watching. Okay, now you can read Ezekiel 33 and it really drives it home. But this is a video. You can't, people have, I'm already in this thing 12 minutes. Okay, people have a 7-second attention span. Okay, so here I'm going to the next thing. All right, so now I'm in Revelation 6. This is going to share a lot of the same language that we hear in Mark 13 or in Matthew 24. Okay, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. This is a sixth seal event. And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became as black, and sackcloth as hair, and the moon became blood. Okay, remember what it was said about the sun and the moon. And the stars fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Okay, if we go into the Strongs and look up the untimely figs, what we get is the Greek word othenios. It means unripe. It's an unripe fig that grows during the winter, and it doesn't come to maturity, and it falls off in the late spring. Okay, the untimely figs. And she is shaken with a mighty wind. Okay, this is Satan gets cast down. Satan gets cast down. And as the heavens departed as a scroll that is rolled together, every mountain and land moved out of their places. Those earthquakes in diverse places. And the kings of the earth, the great rich men, and the chief captains and the mighty men, and every bondman, every freeman, hid themselves in the dens, in the rocks, and in the mountains. You grabbing your go bag, heading up to your, all the rich guys building their bunkers. You can't hide from the tribulation, folks. And said, the mountains and the rocks fall on us, and hide from us the place that sitteth on the mountain and the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. From the wrath of the Lamb. He's coming with a rod of iron. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Just his elect, folks. His elect, their families. Okay, that's Revelation 6. It's talking about Satan gets cast down unto Mystery Babylon. Okay, who's Mystery Babylon? If that's a whole nother video, but if you go and look at it, that's the hammer of the earth. It's right here, folks. You're looking at it. You're living in it. Probably, if you're watching this video from the United States, you're there. Mystery Babylon. Okay, Satan gets cast down into Mystery Babylon. Okay, so that is 6. Let's go now. We're going to go look at another place. We're going to go to Isaiah 28. All right, so now, hopefully you've turned to Isaiah 28. Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim. The drunkards of Ephraim. If you go to Genesis 48, verse 19, okay, Israel, Jacob, who changes his name, has his name changed by God to Israel. Okay, Israel blesses Joseph's 2 sons. Manasseh is the older son, and Ephraim is the younger son. Okay, he switches his hands, and with his right hand, he blesses the younger son. And Joseph's like, whoa, man, you did it wrong, you're blessing the younger son. And just as Joseph was blessed, being the younger son, he blesses Ephraim. Okay? And he says Ephraim is going to be the nations. Okay? Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, gets splitting off after Solomon. Okay, Jeroboam, the king of the northern tribes, was from the tribe of Ephraim. Okay, he does great sins. He feasts outside of Jerusalem. Okay, he builds golden calves. He gets into idolatry and builds altars outside of Jerusalem. Okay, big no-no. Big no-no. Next, he also has priests in the high places doing pagan idolatry, and he doesn't stop it. Okay, he just goes with the flow. You do you. You do you, boo. He does not stop that. So he has several things going wrong that he's doing. Okay, that's chronicled in 1 Kings 11. He gets rebuked, or 1 Kings 12. He gets rebuked for it by the man of God in 1 Kings 13. He does not heed. Okay. Then in 2 Kings 17, for the sins of Jeroboam, all those people, and this is years after Jeroboam, because they're still doing the sins of Jeroboam, they all get wiped out, scattered. Okay? Now, here's a little prophecy that Isaiah is laying down. Okay? Woe to the crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim. Drunkards. If I go to the next page, in 29, let's talk about drunkards. Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out, cry, are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord poured out upon you a deep spirit of sleep. They're sleeping. They're sleeping. They're drunk with pride. Drunkenness in the Bible is talking about pride. Okay, of course it's not good to just get totally tore down and drunk. Okay, but it's not a sin. Okay? Being drunk can lead you to sin, for sure. It can put bad spirits in you, for sure. But drinking itself isn't a sin. Paul says, yeah, you probably need a little medicine. Yeah, drink some of that wine. You need a little medicine from time to time. Okay? And what does the church now call sin? Oh man, those people who drinking the beer. Okay? And we know that Ephraim ends up being the nations. Okay? And that's a prophecy from Israel. From Israel. So when people say, oh, the Ten Commandments were given to the Jews. Was Ephraim, Manasseh, and the 10 tribes there, 10 northern tribes there? Those ain't the Jews. They got scattered. They got scattered, smothered, and covered. Okay, and this is some of the best writing and the best, I mean, it's insane. Woe to the crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim. The glorious beauty is a fading flower. Look at the fading flower the United States is. Two, 3 generations ago, sermons sounded a lot different than they do now. Okay? They might not have had the whole truth revealed to them because it doesn't all get revealed until these last days. Okay? But they didn't stand for what's going on. What's going on now. I remember being in a town in Texas and the whole town was shut down. We showed up there Saturday night, woke up there Sunday morning, and it was too hot to get on the road and drive because we were in a car that didn't have air conditioning. Not all cars had air conditioning way back when, okay? Especially if you're from Washington State. The cars did not all have air conditioning, okay, back then. So in a heat wave in the middle of West Texas, you did not get in your car and start driving in the daytime. No, in those days, if you were going across West Texas, you waited till the evening, until the sun started going down, then you started driving. Okay, and you drove all night. That's how we had to do it back in those days. Or you would have frickin' cooked. Okay? There was nowhere to get a meal in that town on Sunday. You know where you could go get a meal in that town on Sunday? You could go to the Oilman's Association, a group that was ruled by the spirit of mammon. And they were open, and you could get a steak, a big steak, and for a decent price. The Oilman's Association there was, I don't know, I'm going off track here, but the Oilman's Association there was a lot like the Moose Lodge or the Eagles. Okay, it's the Texas's version of the Eagles Lodge. They probably had a fish fry on Friday nights, I would imagine. Okay, but I was a little kid. The only place we could eat, and we ate. They weren't open for breakfast, I don't believe. But they were there for Sunday football and all that. So very interesting. That was the towns used to people used to do the Sabbath, even though they were doing it on Sunday. Okay, their heart was in the right spot. Okay, they just didn't have the knowledge. Fading flower on the head of the fat valleys. Them were overcome with wine. They were overcome with pride. Behold, Jehovah hath laid a mighty and a strong one, which, as a tempest of hail, destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, cast down on the earth with the hand, and the crown of pride and the drunkards of Ephraim shall be trodden under feet. And the glorious beauty is on the head of the fat valleys, shall be a fading flower, and as the hasty fruit, that's that hasty fruit, Othnios, the hasty fruit before the summer which he hath looked upon it, seeth, while it is yet in his hand, he eateth it up. In that day, okay? So we know that because we are tying this back with this hasty fruit, the parable of the fig tree, verse 5, in this day, we're not talking about Ephraim and Manasseh and all the 10 tribes being scattered. We're talking about it. Something that's going on similar, okay? But out in the future. In that day shall Jehovah the hosts, for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people. Diadem is a gem, okay? The residue of his people, the remnant of his people. And for the spirit of judgment, that him that's for strength, that turn the battle to the gate, for them that are watching. For them that are watching. That's verse 6. Verse 7. They have also erred through wine and through strong drink, and are out of the way. Priests and prophet have erred. Okay, wow. I'm a little bit wrong, okay? He gave a group of people more knowledge. Okay, he sent them to the battle at the gate, but he sends them to battle at the gate. They're supposed to be watching. They're supposed to be watching. But they also have erred through wine and through strong drink and are out of the way. The priests and the prophets have erred through pride, strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine, and they are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision, and they stumble in judgment. And they stumble in judgment. Okay, there's a whole group of people in the United States that saw that, holy smokes, the Bible says we need to be doing these commandments. Okay, that's what Yeshua came to do. He came to teach the commandments of God, and we need to do them. But they err in judgment. Okay, they do not understand the difference between the 10 Commandments, the covenant of promise, or one of the covenants of promise, and the laws that were given after the transgression. They do not understand that difference. And man, when you try to explain it to them, they don't hear it. Okay, they don't hear it. It is crazy. Okay, because they got caught up with doing the feast. What did Jeroboam do? He had altars outside Jerusalem. Deuteronomy 12 says over and over and over again, do not do your feasts outside of Jerusalem. Only where God puts his name, and that's Jerusalem. Okay? For their tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so there is no place clean. So there is no place clean. Before you do the Passover, you need to go clean all the high places out of the land. You need to go burn all their relics and all their idols. Okay? And you got to get mean. Josiah, the King Josiah, good king, young king Josiah, finds the book of the law, and he goes out and he starts burning. He cleans the place up. Okay? He left some of the priests in the high places. There's always this little, a little leaven is left. A little sin is left out there. Every king leaves out a little sin, and it comes back the next generation on them. Okay, but before you go and you do your Passover, you're supposed to have cleaned all these places. That ain't going to go over, and you're outside Jerusalem. Don't do it. I was there. I did it. I had to repent from that too. Okay? Golly. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he make to understand doctrine? This is verse 9. Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. The milk is obeying the commandments. If you do not get off the milk, if you can't figure out that you need to obey God's commandments, and You're seduced by these wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay? You've heaped to yourself teachers having itching ears. Say, you just be you, boo. If you listen to that, you're not going to get weaned from the milk. You're not going to understand doctrine. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That's how you have to read the Bible, folks. You have to slow down. Line upon line, precept upon precept. The book of the law was given because of the transgressions. Okay? The book of the law was given as a punishment for a time until the seed should come. If you read line upon line, you know you're not going to associate that with the promise given to Abraham. And you have to read line upon line to understand that God, the water flowed out of the rock at Horeb, and God remembered his prophet, Abraham, and his promise to Abraham. That's Psalm 105, verse 41, maybe 104, 105, verse 41, I believe, through 46. Then he says, and you just obey my commandments. Okay? For with stammering lips and another tongue, he will speak to his people. With stammering lips and another tongue, he will speak to his people. Most people aren't going to understand anything I'm saying right now. They'll be like, whoa, okay. And maybe somebody, maybe one person will follow what I'm reading. And they'll go to Isaiah 28, and they'll go, oh, okay, that's where the hasty fruit is, and oh, okay. With stammering lips. Nobody's been stammering more through this stuff than me. A lot of times I just think, oh man, what a piece of garbage. What a piece of garbage I am all these years to have the Bible right there and just not get it, not read it, not to whom? Verse 12. To whom he said, this is true, this is a rest, wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. This is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. What's refreshing mean? It means new. Revival. It's a revival they would not hear. Peter uses the same word in Acts 3. When I heard Acts 3, verse 19 through 26, it stopped me in my tracks. I said, what? What did he just say? What? Rewind. And I studied that out. That's the deal right there. Peter's laying it down in the temple. 19 through 26. I mentioned it in almost all my videos. I got videos on it, video after video on it. Every video. I'm not going to read it right now. Okay? You go read that for yourself. Okay, so this is the refreshing they would not hear, but the word of Jehovah was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, and that they might go back, forward, back, and be broken and snared and taken. What's this about? Who gets taken? The wheat and the tares get taken. The tares get taken and cast into the fire. Okay? The wheat is gathered and put in the barn. The tares get taken. All these people talk about their pre-trib rapture. Sanctify themselves in the garden. Drinking swine's flesh. Eating in the broth of abominations. That's Isaiah 66, 65 and 66 tells you, if you sanctify yourselves around these green trees, eating swine's flesh, you're going to end up in the fire. So a whole bunch of people go out there and say, no, Jesus made all things clean in Mark 7. No, he didn't. That's about eating food without washing your hands. Okay, so that's a whole nother video. And I've got the video on there. So just go to that video. All right, let's get back to the elect. All right, so we're going to go to 1 Thessalonians 5. All right, 1 Thessalonians 5. Remember, I started out talking about different groups. This is talking about a group right here. But the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, brethren. Okay, they're his brethren. I write unto you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah comes as a thief in the night. Comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. That's the different group. Okay, but you yourselves know that the thief comes as a thief in the night. What do we say back in Mark 13? But of that day, that hour, no man know, not even the angels in heaven, neither Son of Man nor the Father. Take heed and watch and pray, for ye know not when that time is. But you're going to be watching. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. No, because you're what? You're listening to him and you're watching. Ye, therefore, are children of light and the children of day, and we are not of the night nor of darkness. Why? Because we love our brothers as ourselves. Leviticus 19, verse 17. You hateth your brother if you do not rebuke his sin. 1 John. Those that hateth their brother are in darkness and not in the light. Okay, connect the stuff up, folks. So if you're not rebuking the sin of your brother and telling him to get on the straight and narrow path, which is brotherly love, it's Philadelphia, the Church of Philadelphia, brotherly love, agape, is not buying your brother a sandwich. It's keeping him on the straight and narrow path, each other. You keeping me on the path, me keeping you on the path. It goes all the way back to Cain and Abel. God calls it doing good, doing well, well-doing. Doing well or well-doing. If you're not doing well, Satan lies at your door. That's what he told Cain. You're watching. Therefore, let us not sleep. Verse 6, therefore, let us not sleep. What happens when the man is out? Lest he come home and find you sleeping. If you're not rebuking sin, you're sleeping. Do others. Let us watch and be sober. For God hath not appointed us to wrath. You know how many people sleep that are sleeping, that are not watching? Take this verse number 9 and appoint that to themselves. Oh, we're the brethren. You the elect. You watching. You know the parable of the fig tree. But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need to write unto you. But what do we got here? Revelation 6. Stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree cathed her untimely fruits. Untimely there is the Greek word translated. Othenios means unripe. Check it out. Definition. G, 3653. Isaiah 28. Here's a little, just the sixth seal. Revelation opening also tells us, is it springtime event? Hasty fruit is the Hebrew word bikurim. Bikurim. It's H. 1061. Definition is the first fruits of the crop. First fruits of the crop. Okay, those untimely early figs. It's before summer. This thing goes down. Is it this next spring? Spring after? Who knows? But if you're watching, it's not going to come upon you as a thief in the night. You will not be taken. You might be taken before that, because people do not like to hear what I'm saying. So you might be taken before that. Well, that's fine. Whatever. Okay? They shall hate you for righteousness' sake. What's he saying, Daniel? Where you're supposed to go and read that. Did you go and read that? God tells Daniel that the ones that are preaching righteousness after the abomination of desolation is unveiled, those that are preaching righteousness shall shine like stars in the firmament. I mean, it's those who preach righteousness in the last days. Okay? Not our righteousness. Not the righteousness from these traditions of men. His righteousness. So now you know what the parable is. It's a springtime event, and you should be watching. So watch and pray. What I say to one, I say to all, watch.